It's about time I finally added drawers to these cabinets I built. And my first step is determining the cabinet opening so I can figure out how big to make the drawer boxes. There are many different ways to make drawer boxes, all with their own pros and cons. The method I prefer, I think is the easiest method, is just simple butt joints using 1/2-inch plywood for the entire drawer box and simply connecting all the pieces together using brad nails. You see I have a base here and then some sides and a front and back that simply nail into that base, and that's it. Now, I'll explain later how this gets its strength after we do the build. Now, when you build with plywood, it's always good to check the actual thickness. This 1/2-inch plywood I'm using is actually 7/16, so I have to account for that in my cuts. My first cut is ripping the plywood to the base width, which is the cabinet opening minus the sides minus 2 times the plywood thickness, and in my case that's 24 minus a 1/2 inch for each one of the sides, minus 2 times 7/16 for the plywood. Next, I'm finishing the base with a cut at 21 inches for the depth, and this doesn't have to be precise like the width, so I'm not including that 1/16 of an inch. After that, I can rip the front and back at the desired drawer height. Now, with all the pieces so far, I use this to determine the length of the sides. Now for assembly, I start with the base and the front and back pieces. Now, if it's not obvious, the whole assembly process requires this to make alignment easier, but also because the sides have to nail in to the front and back pieces, these have to be on first. Now, the strength of this drawer box comes from the assembly process and where I put the brad nails. Now, brad nails are weak with pull strength. So of course, if these pieces were simply nailed into the base, you could pull any of these pieces out. It would be very weak. Now, thinking about the front and back, this is where a lot of force is being applied on a drawer because that's what's holding your face plate and then the drawer handle, so that's always being pulled on. Now, where the strength of this really comes into play is these side pieces are nailed into the side of the front and back pieces, so you're using that shear strength of those brad nails, which is preventing the front and back pieces from moving. Now, I'm not going to pretend that this is the strongest method for drawer boxes. It is a lot stronger if you're using unfinished plywood and you can add some wood glue. I built a box like that and I threw it at the ground as hard as I could and it just bounced across the shop. So that is an option. I'm using pre-finished here, so it's just brad nails, but I've made plenty of drawers this way and they hold up just fine as well. And honestly, if you look at the manufactured drawers that you would find from pre-built cabinets, they're basically built in the same fashion. But the real beauty of this style of building drawer boxes is you get that extra thick 1/2-inch bottom, which really strengthens up everything. Finally, for installation, I always take the drawer bracket and mount it on the very bottom of each one of the drawers, and then I use plywood spacers when installing in the cabinet, and this just makes alignment a whole lot easier with side mount slides.